reading series come and go, but one of the really good ones that was happened over at St. John's Booksellers, and those of us that made it over there miss it a lot. Our featured reader tonight hosted a great series over there, and I admire him for a lot of different reasons, but one of the things is holding the space for people to get up and do their thing is something that's tough, and it takes a lot of energy, and he did it very well. So we missed the bookstore, and we also missed that series. Sean Aaron Bowers is a Portland native. His first collection of poetry, We Were Warriors, which is here for sale tonight, was published under the pseudonym Johnny No Bueno. And then another book from the same press, which is called University of Hell, will be out later this year or the middle of next year. His work has been in Criminal Class Review, Present Tense, and Nailed Magazine. One of the things that I found from doing this work in the community is that you can work your ass off, you can be doing really good stuff. They just don't write an awful lot of articles about poetry. We're lucky if they mention it anywhere in the publications that are around. This gentleman that you're about to hear from is one of the only poets that I know who's had his face on the cover of Willamette Week, and that he may be the last one for a really long time. So please say hello to our friend Sean Aaron Bowers.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, that Willamette Week thing is still weird. I got a bunch of like stashed copies. Excuse me while I adjust my microphone. Adjust. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We called him Simple Bobby. He wasn't the brightest of the bunch, but goddamn, if you weren't lucky enough to see him smiling, he was like a little god. The second to last time I saw Bobby, he was dying. 85 pounds, depending on whether he'd eaten that week. He had open sores. He would pay people to shoot him up. He had lost the capability of doing even the most simplest of things. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The last time I saw Bobby, he was grown. 145 pounds, depending on the yoga he was practicing to pray away the HIV. He was wearing a robe, selling books, giving out food, chanting, and smiling. He even had a patch of hair at the back of his head with which Krishna would use to pull him to heaven. Some people call them a cult. I call Hare Krishna's Light for the Hopeless. The real name of their religion is Vaishnavism, worshipping incarnations of Vishnu, the Redeemer. You see, I didn't get it when I first saw Bobby with them, but when I saw Bobby smiling so bright and so bright that the sun cringed with shame, I knew then they were meant to save souls. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And maybe they were only meant to save the soul of Simple Bobby, but to save even one of the damned is a task so many philosophers of gods have yet to do, so I deem them holy in my book. I learned to eat their vegan sandwiches and took solace in the repetitive chant of words I did not understand until Krishna pulled Bobby from this world. See, Krishna couldn't save Bobby from the earthly fate he had sealed by sleeping with men for money to fund the habit of sharing needles with paid lovers. My friend Bobby has returned to his maker. Whether or not Krishna is God, regardless of this, what we so-called enlightened individuals think, for the first time in this history, my friend Bobby is happy, smiling at the sun, giggling. I may never understand the exact words, but I will chant. I will chant with such a clarity, even the most simplest of gods should understand. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. I wrote that poem for two reasons. One, to show off that I actually can sing. Most people don't go to karaoke with me. But secondly, being in a progressive society, as we so often like to consider ourselves, I have a lot of atheist, forward-thinking friends, and so I will often want to bash people of religion, of faith, of belief, and I tread lightly there. I tread very lightly. So that was kind of my get back at all my really die-hard atheist friends.
Yeah.
This is a poem that I wrote. I wanted to play with white space and how it, you can see it here, because a lot of what I'm working with right now is kind of how it sits on page, but I wanted to play with white space and how it works with momentum, and the premise of it is that I was the prodigal son. I was the shitbag, I grew up punk rock, street life. I grew up in and out of prison, a junkie, a gang member, the whole nine. And then when I get clean and I get sober and I start going to college and I publish a book, everybody wants me to be on their team again. Yeah, no, not happening. So this is called Dim the Limelight. Put the bat down and pick up the Bible, son, they said. Put the bat down, pick yourself up, they said. Put the bat down and pick up this gun, they said. Put the bat down and pick up this cause, they said. Pick the bat down and carry this cross, they said. Put the bat down, unburden your weight, they said. Put the bat down, carry with you peace, they said. Put the bat down and whisper this melody, they said. Put the bat down, remember this melody, they said. Put the bat down and march to this tune, they said. Walk to this beat, they said. Sing to this song, they said. Hum a few bars, they said. Belt a few out, they said. Fall in line, they said. Do what you're told, they said. They said. Might is right, they said. 2 pairs of footprints, they said. Stacking BBs, they said. Walk in line, they said. Toe the line. Carry your weight. You're your own. You're your own, they said. Different, they said. Out of line, they said. Delinquent, deviant, criminal, they said. Insane, they said. Mental defective, they said. Malcontent, they said. Take it for granted, they said. Black sheep, they said. Apart from the rest, they said. Fallen angel, they said. Redemption, they said. Rags to riches, they said. See what we've done, they said. One of the good ones, they said. Glad he's on our side, they said. Pick up the bat. Pick up the bat. Pick up the bat. Aim right. Swing. I always wanted to be the poet. I always wanted to be William Stafford. I always wanted to be Robert Frost and write things about nature and stuff I love. But I'm a city kid who was born with needles and 12 gauges and a murdered father and the whole nine. So this is my desperate attempt at trying to write nature poetry. It's called Might is Right. The hawk perches above the field, his collar of blue glinting violently against the black drop of gray, green, and brown. Furiously, with tense eyes, he searches for prey. Ignoring his brethren of black crows, they are but birds. He seeks the chilled blood of white-skinned rodents meandering the hills and under rocks, carrying out orders of instinct. This earth is a battle of necessity, a holy war of immeasurable weight. To carry out its divine task that each bird is born for, to feed, to be fed. The prey he watches, their knowledge of his presence gone, he sees them as a cancer of sorts, feeders who do not return the favor to the land in which they are born of. Scavengers, hideous beasts that must be fed upon, annihilated and destroyed. They have no purpose. They come not from noble blood, are but bottom feeders, surviving upon their capacity to disappear into mediocrity and meekness. How could they ever understand the heft of clouds and how the wind itself reaches out to them and carries them upon a throne made solely for their rage? So I work at a vape shop downtown Portland, and so I get a very interesting clientele, and there's this woman that comes in who has a crush on me, and not until she realized that I'm a poet, but she learned today that I'm a poet. I teach meditation to incarcerated and at-risk youth, and I do a number of other things that when you look at me, you're like, really? And so I told her about my book, We Were Warriors, and I just thought of this poem, and this poem is This poem is actually named after a tattoo that I got on the street corner. I spent 15 years panhandling, getting drunk, and just being an outright hoodlum and hooligan on the most sacred place. It's downtown Portland, right outside of Pioneer Courthouse, the corner of 5th and Morrison. So this is called We Were Warriors. And in this book, really quick, I like to, one of the underlying currents throughout this book is I challenge the perspective of the we and the I. I'm constantly fluctuating in between poems, in the middle of the poem and then in between poems, and I really try to mess with the reader's perspective on we and I, because I never identify as I identify as we and the people I grew up with. I identify as we as my culture, my subculture. There's very little I that is involved in that, and so that's kind of part of the point of this book. Not to say that it's a conceptual book, but part of the point of the book is to really challenge the reader to back away from the individual perspective. So it's called We Were Warriors. We were warriors. We championed listless causes. We sat penniless, daring autumn to smack us rainy. We took turns negating our worth, from pheromone fixes to sex sickness. We were puddles of electrified water waiting for the innocent in midnight basements. We were brass knuckles in the bottle of whiskey at the all ages shows. We were church pew evil, hoping to firestorm cleanse the world of all impurity. We were shaven heads and mohawks, steel-toed boots, and violent empathy. We were children, fed Adam's apple, giving the finger to regret. There was something glorious about feigned apathy by a flock of broken promises and failed vows. We never expected to live this long. We cannot find enough apologies, so we throw our bodies on the funeral pyres, hoping we can effigy ourselves absolved. We are very, very sorry. Not for the stain we left, but that we remain walking pillars of your failure. All we ever wanted were the lies we dressed ourselves in to billboard us proud. So my first book that's just an amazing thing, from a kid who a squatter, junkie, punk rocker, to being a published writer is a really cool thing. My first book came out in 2012, and on University of Health Press, who I absolutely love and adore, Greg Girding, and the people over there are, it's a labor of love. They all have day jobs, and they're all very slow. I'm hoping my next book should be out. It's either later this year or the next year, tentatively titled Concrete and Juniper, which is my poetic way of saying I like to drink gin on the street corner. And so these two last poems are in that collection. This one is called Gresham. The mountain is only ever as majestic as the valley surrounding its royal feet allows it to be. A litter of rusting cars, birthed from cracking concrete, a fistful of mobile homes inhabited by teenagers collecting hand-me-down strollers and possession charges. High-rises of once low-income housing and factories. Here are a people, broken, holding up the throne of their mountain, with nothing more than the faint memory of what they once were to mold them into the shivering denizens they now are. In this mad, inhumane realm, they can only point and mutter with chafed and blistered tongues, home.
Yeah.
And this last poem has been a long-standing favorite poem I've ever written. Is entitled, and this will be my last poem, entitled "The City Sweats as We Do." The whistling taxi is a little overwhelmed. My darling, we sit upon red bricks and stoops, listening to the rain as it pours onto us and into us and out of us. The sidewalk chalk is slowly melting into the river that my street is birthing, like broken, like water, like riptide tsunami life from between the parked cars of her thighs. My city erupts into a hospital, and these buildings are nothing more than the gowns worn by the ghosts of the everything the West prayed it would become. Thank you very much, Vancouver. Thank you, Chris.
Sean Aaron Bowers, give me a hand. coming all the way over. It's challenging to get here in a timely fashion. I know. Well, how long did you say it took? About 4 hours for you to leave?
It was impossible to leave downtown. It took me 3 hours to get here from downtown.
Yeah, it really shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it is. Ask anybody who's spending any time for that. Yeah, so one of the things that you could do to help a traveling poet is buy a book. The book, We Were Warriors, is here. It's available for $15. If you're not able to join us after the break, please come back on September 14th when our featured reader will be Coleman Stevenson. But I hope that I'll see a bunch of you to buy Sean's book, and you can get some food and drink, get to know each other a little bit, and we'll be back in 15 minutes for more Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic. Thank you.
Thanks, babe. I'm going to go and get the card in the cash box. I'll be right back. Okay.